Hey, KK, thanks for joining us today. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Oh, thank you, first of all, for being here. I just said it to you like off camera that it's your voice, Brian. It's your
Yeah.
voice. I love it. It's so lovely to hear. I am, let me make you embarrassed, get you embarrassed. This is nice. Who am I? Who's KK Harris? Well, I am a professional coach. At the end of this year, I will also be a business coach psychologist. So I'm finishing up my master's here in the UK. I'm originally from Los Angeles, been out here for about 20 years. I have a hybrid role at a company called Ezra Coaching, and I'm one of their professional coaches, but I'm also in their sales side as well. And I thought that'd be, interesting to go into sales, for the commission and everything like that. And I'm also ADHD. So I had a late diagnosis, which is very late, for a woman of a certain age. I only had that diagnosis about, or assessment, however you want to frame it, about 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago.
That's it. Wow.
Mm, mm, mm.
Did you
And
kind of know it all along or?
I knew that you know, like I said, professional coach, always had a passion for psychoanalysis, understanding people, why people did things. So, yes, very much aware on a certain level. And then I have a twin brother who is dyslexic. And so that it started making sense. It was growing up knowing that my brother would write letters backwards and everything like that. And it was like, but he was still this really brilliant mind. He later has become a composite engineer, so real big engineering thing, whereas I was the one, it was like, I was assessed. And I'm talking about back in the day before we knew what dyslexia was or ADHD. So, the context is you're put in, my twin brother was put into those classes for very, lower
Slow kids, yeah.
intellectual, you slow kids, right? So it was, and then I had this assessment as a child that I was gifted, this bright kid that I was gifted, right? So no one's going to look at you and say there's an issue there. And it's a shame because growing up, I was always very forgetful. I was always constantly tapping my feet and moving my feet. And there's like, I have like one picture of me as a little girl, and I'm sitting on my hands. And that was because my parents were always, back in those days, was like, sit down, stop fit moving around. So, and then when you have that, you're smart, as they call it. So no one really notices what's going on. But I noticed something was going on
Yeah.
when I was about 13. Suddenly the forgetfulness became more, processes and everything got in the way. I couldn't quite grasp certain things, that here I was moving through elementary school, easy breezing. English, stuff I love, oh, I'm in. Anything to do with kind of complicated processes just wasn't sticking. So all that to say, I knew something was up, but I was labeled ditzy, um, crazy, because I say walk out of a room and completely forget something, and then off to the next thing. So it was definitely, there were definite signs there, but without a label. And it wasn't until I went into sales. Go ahead.
And how did you manage it? Did you have routines? Did you have habits that kept you focused?
You know that those early years of my life, no, no.
Wow.
Um, it wasn't until I got older, because I was a singer songwriter for years. It was my first career for like 25 years. So there was even forgetful moments on stage. I just couldn't recall. And it's only recently that it all started making sense now. It all started making sense. But it was until I had a child, to be honest, is when I had my daughter. She's now, tomorrow's her birthday. She's going to be 17.
Wow.
So at that point, I knew for me, I needed to be organized. I needed to create my own
Manage it.
little systems, right? I had to create my own little systems to, manage motherhood, So I think there were certain things that I would do. There were certain organizational things that I would do for the home when I was married. And then when we had her, that's when I was able to really organize. And actually, when I think back as a little girl playing with dolls and stuff, there was a certain level of things needed to be certain ways, and I had to be able to find these things. So maybe something was simmering, but definitely when I got into motherhood, I had to find ways to manage. And because there was no, I had no label on me. I kind of just kept pushing against the labels, the negative labels. So it was like, you're flaky, you're all of that, you're ditzy, you're so whatever it was, whoever was going to say something. You don't know who you are because I did a million different things.
Right, which don't doesn't help.
You know,
Now, how has this affected you in sales?
this is the turning point to me making the decision to have myself assessed by a psychologist, doing the proper assessment. Um, in November 30th, I got the job to go into sales. I did all the interviews. It wasn't given to me. I did all that other stuff and prepared. It just went pretty seamlessly. But it was when I got the role, then the demands of Salesforce. That was a big that was a big turning point where I remember being very worried when I got the job. I said, "You are not good with processes." Like,
Did you find yourself just getting lost in it, like the internet, or not losing your place, or
what the I love, the thing about ADHD, you can really hyper focus. You can go deep. I mean, I've written books. There's a book behind me. I can go deep and I can really learn things. And that's the beauty of it. It's like your brain works in other fabulous
right?
ways.
Yeah.
Um, so, Salesforce for me is that it just doesn't work with my brain. For me, I see things in stories. I see things almost like in images, and it has to have a certain type of flow that, like I said, it's like a story. There's a
Yep.
beginning, there's a middle, there's
You
an
know, and
end,
end conflict and
right?
resolution. Yeah.
Right, right, right. You know? And so with Salesforce, for me, there was none of that. It was like you're going to the first page of the book every time
All this
you go in there.
autonomous information.
Yeah, yeah. And yes, well said. And so every time you're going in there, here the search begins again, you know? So it's so counterintuitive for a neurodiverse person. And I still was it was like that my voice was like, "Girl, you got to go and get checked out." You know, and the stress. Oh my God, Brian, the physical stress that I went through from November up until I heard your podcast. I heard your podcast one day, bless you. Um, you said something to the effect, and if you want to work around from Salesforce, if Salesforce is really hard or something, it's taking a lot of your time, then you need to go on over to scratchpad.com. Chrome extension, this calm voice. And I'm like, I just learned about you too, like maybe a month or so before. I'm like, yes. And I go on over there, and then it was just the simplicity of it actually threw me. That threw me. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. Am I missing something here?
It
You
can't be
know?
this easy. Yeah.
No. But prior to that, it was, and I want to stress that, you know, the lack of inclusion of the Salesforce product and the Salesforce, whoever's running it at the organization, their lack of inclusively thinking is bothersome. It's problematic because the physical stress that was on me, I'm not meeting KPIs because now I'm terrified. I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to go in there. So I'm not putting information in there. And then it's stressing me out, causing me to doubt myself, right?
And yeah. And what's I find ironic is that there's so many people in sales that have ADHD, dyslexia, these things that, you know, weren't diagnosed as children, we're looking at as slow or fast,
Mm,
but just not, there's the little soldiers sitting in the desks one behind each other.
mhm, mhm,
But
mhm.
how did it manifest itself in a positive way? You talked about singing, which is
It's interesting when you get a late diagnosis, then for me, it's like everything becomes clear. It's like, okay, so why can I swim? Why can I wall climb? Why can I play tennis? Why can I do calisthenics all in my middle ages? Why can I can change and go deeply into something?
Yeah.
How is it that, oh, I have an idea, write a book. Okay, I have it. And I'm not limited in my thinking because that story that I see, right? I can visualize what I want to do and then I can just take action. The impetus, because of that ADHD, that speed that I have, it makes me move and decide to do something. I'm not slowed down by the process of how long is this going to take, all the steps that you have to do. That's a gift. Because I
Okay.
don't, I don't think that, right? So
It
that's the
just
gift.
flows for you. Kind of you can
Yeah.
see the whole picture instead of just the steps. Is that?
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
can see. I can see. Yeah.
Yeah, because
That's fun.
and I'm kind of learning a lot because I'm now training a lot of reps over a long period of time, and everyone's learns a little differently.
Mm, mm,
And it's interesting to see that. How
yeah.
about as far as like interpersonal skills and empathy?
Strong.
Yeah.
I'm a professional coach, like I say. So, qualified, trained professional coach. Um, and it makes sense again, looking at my childhood. Here I am being bullied, right? For whatever various reasons. But yet, if there were other students, kids that were being bullied, I was looking after them. I have
Yeah.
that natural ability to look after them and say, it's okay, forget them, blah, blah, blah. And now in my professional coaching, I'm able to it's like as if I'm just zoned in. It's almost like this has given me a higher level, a
Yeah.
heightened sense of understanding of the other.
And why coaching? What drew you to that?
I think it was always that as a child. It was
Yeah.
always
Helping someone else out.
helping someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why sales?
Now here's
You're still wondering.
no, I've made a decision. I've made a decision. Why? First, I'll tell you why sales. Why sales is because um, I think it's probably part of that ADHD a little bit. Oh, let's try this,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, we can make a commission. We can build for the pension, right? So, and sometimes you get it wrong, you know. Um, and I've taken a week off work, and I've to really see and say what is that really where you want to be,
Yeah.
and my answer is no. My answer, and that's because of that strong empathy. I'm also a diversity and inclusion strategist and consultant, and so I work with companies in that space. And this morning, a neighbor, they were having some issues, and they wanted my advice around that inclusion piece. And I was so energized. You know, there's too much this up and down roller coaster in sales.
It's hard.
It's emotional.
Well, yeah, because it has this paradox where you have to care, but you can't care too much,
Mhm, mhm.
which is a very hard thing to do. You care
Uh-huh.
too much and you burn yourself out or you do stupid things. If you don't care enough, you're not going to do the hard things.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I'm kind of happy that I didn't find Scratchpad on December 1st. And I tell you why, because I'd probably stay here in the sales space because it's given me that ability to move much quicker, right?
Yeah.
Scratchpad, it's like I can move much quicker. But taking that step back and having this time to go through the pain, and then that reality of not just the Salesforce input and all that stuff, but the other stuff that goes with the sales, the rejection, you think you're going to have the meeting and then they keep pushing the meeting back, and you're doing all the right things. You're sending the video email like Brian Burns says, and but you can't control. You don't know when the outcome is going to be reached. You know.
Right. Because it's very different than coaching, because the coaching, the people come to you
Mm,
and there's already a level of curiosity and interest and
mhm.
a desire for help.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
active pain.
Yes. Active pain. Absolutely. Right.
In sales, we're way before that in most
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah. And I was selling the coaching product. So I thought this makes sense.
Right.
I'm the one of the coaches. I can sell this product. And I'm not saying that I can't, but does it fulfill me?
Yeah.
Is it fulfilling me like the coaching does and the diversity and inclusion work?
Yeah. I mean, it takes a while. And what I've learned training reps is it has to be that success.
Mm,
The sooner you can get people to success,
mhm.
then the fulfillment happens.
Right.
You can't do the grind every day, all day with no success.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got to break it down, kind of
Mm,
like you did when you had your child. Is like
yes.
you can't fail at this.
Yeah. No. And I've done damn good. She's doing great. You know, can't fail at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had to break it down into little
The manageable
routines of
time. Yes.
success. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And although sales, as I listen to your podcast, as I have some great sales teammates, the guys that have been in it for 15 years, 20 years, like, oh my God, Simon and Michael and John and Amy and who am I missing? And Danny, and Christina, all these, they put that time in, they know what to expect out of it. And for this ADHD woman who has these other things, it's not for me, but I respect it.
Yeah.
It's a great game if you have the willingness to stay in it.
And that's it. And I think it's important to learn that as soon as possible.
Yeah, yeah. It's been hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been a hard learning. And I honestly say that a lot of things that I try and I go for, I accomplish. You know, so when you hit a failure, and to me, it is a failure. I've learned from it. However, it is, in the grand scheme of things, this one didn't work. You know, it's like, that's not supposed to be like that. So it, it's it was a tough one the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. But I'm sure
You
you
know,
you coach people where they try
Mm,
things and
yeah,
it's not their bag.
exactly. And so, thank God I have a coach.
Yeah.
We had to work that through, Brian. We had to
Yeah.
get through that very quickly. You know.
And that's it, because there has to be that inner drive or competitiveness
Mm.
or no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Or no choice.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Right.
Or money
And see,
driven.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm money driven, but there's other things that I can do that I
Yeah.
think particularly taking this time out for myself. My book, 10 Steps to Get Your Child into a Top School. It's my story. I help people in this UK get their kids into top private schools. It's how I started coaching. And this book has come full circle. I wrote it 4 years ago. And I'm still getting these just calls saying, hey, can you help? Can you help? And so I've decided I'm leaving somebody else's sales game and I'm going to be promoting what I do
Yeah.
and what I'm about. And it's really still falling in line with that coaching, that diversity and inclusion piece.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's much more sales as part of your job instead of your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different. Very different.
And what did you see the good salespeople doing at your company?
I'd say, for me, I would say I'm going to give a shout out to Simon Morris. And that's because Simon was at LHH. So Ezra is part of LHH, business 50 years, outplacement service, whatever. So he was in the sales side there. He came in to Ezra. I remember I was asking him, I was like, I just knew he was the top sales guy. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just know what, calm, well, man, just the guy. And you're just like, this dude, something's up. And then I started asking him the questions. And then it's like he'd just done 1.8 million or something in sales for products that are only maybe 20, 30,000, maybe some is 50,000. It's a coaching. So, you know what I mean? So those are good numbers for a year
Yep.
or what have you. And what he did was he created his systems. And he said, when they gave him the portfolio, so here's the portfolio which we'd like you to focus on. It had maybe 40, 50 companies. He came back and he said, no, I'll do. Take 10, 15 companies. And he said, KK, I focus my whole time on these companies.
Yeah.
Something else comes in, that's good. But I'm focused, I'm systematic, and he has his little hacks. But it's the systems.
Yeah.
It's the systems. And if my brain works like that.
Well, and I think that is the silver bullet for people.
Yeah.
They think it's like one thing, great subject line or some
Ah,
close. No, it's a string
yeah.
of systems that you build
Yeah.
up over the years
Mm,
that
mm,
match your personality and
yeah.
style
Yeah.
with the market.
Yeah. And I just love it. I like those one-on-one conversations that he and I have had,
Yeah.
of what he does. And again, systems. One day we were on a call and he said, look, let me show you my inbox. Let me show you my inbox. It's freaking empty. He had files everywhere. I mean, not
Yeah.
everywhere, but down this thing with dates that he knew what he was doing in 4 weeks' time with that client. He knew, right. And it was so flawless. It was so beautiful. And to me, that was having a picture of, and the dude brings in the sales. That was, it's not just systems for system's sake. It's everything. He thinks of the client
Yeah.
as a
Empathy.
friend in a way, right? Yeah, empathy. And he taught me this fantastic thing. He told me a story how he won a client. He'd been trying to get this client. He was reading something about their business, is doing his research. Somehow he sees on LinkedIn that they had gone, not somehow, he saw on LinkedIn they had gone to a particular event. Well, he had recalled, if I get this story correctly, he had recalled a particular book by somebody in that space, could have been the speaker. He ordered 2 copies of the book, put a sticky note on it, sent it to 2 of the people there and said, hey, know you went to this. You might find something interesting. If you want to talk about it, give me a call. Of course, they gave him a call. It was personal. It was it was
Care
in them. It
about.
was timely. Oh my God. I just thought that was such a gorgeous story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they did business.
Now, I'm sure there's tons of reps listening to this that may think they have HDDD or,
ADHD.
yep, sorry,
Yeah.
I've got dyslexia, so I'm going to mix them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neurodiversity. Hmm.
And I think that's why a lot of people end up in sales is they
Yeah.
don't fit into accounting or marketing or
Yeah.
engineering,
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm.
but they can talk with people and they
Yeah.
like interacting.
Yeah.
How would you coach them or how would you guide them?
I would say if you suspect that you have ADHD or you suspect there's something's not quite right and you feel like it, go and check it out.
Yeah.
Invest the money in, wherever you live or if you have insurance, go ahead and have an assessment. Have a conversation with the psychologist, have an assessment and and find out first and foremost, find out.
Yeah.
Second thing, tell your boss, tell the people you work with, you know, it's gonna make your life easier. They'll be less of a jerk if they're being a jerk. They'll have some compassion, some empathy.
And I
And
think
then
that,
three,
go ahead,
go ahead.
finish it. Well, I
Uh,
think it is a good point that we should teach our managers how to manage us
yeah,
because they think everyone's like themselves.
yeah. It's been a lesson for my commercial director, Christina. She says
Yeah.
it's really helped her reframe her thinking around how she's managing her sales team. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know? And I
Oh,
think the last thing I would suggest to them is definitely, and no one is paying me for this, but definitely get scratch pad. My goodness.
well, yeah, the more I look into it, the more I see the need for it. It's like, all these tabs and wherever you are.
It's
I
hard
think
when you're
everyone wants
diverse.
accurate notes. Everybody wants that data. for
Yeah.
themselves, never mind just
Yeah.
their manager.
Right. Right. To be able to just go into your homepage and you just hit your pipeline and to be able to see everything there and then the calculation of the money right there. That is a nice thing. It's relaxing. I'll tell you this before we kind of end this is I was on a invitation only to town hall for Scratchpad. Was it last night before, the night before, I guess, and it was fantastic. And it was about 16 of us, I think, 16 to 18 of us in the room. I shared the diversity, ADHD. One of the guys said he was ADHD. It was like I gave him, it was like giving someone the license to say it. Then, not only that, right? Not only that, get on over to LinkedIn. I'm hit 4 of the guys that were in that call said, "Hey, I'm ADHD too."
Yeah.
And
And
so that's 25% of the people in that room when you do the numbers, right?
yeah. And I don't think it's that unusual.
Yeah. But I think people are in the closet, if we could call it that.
Yeah, for a couple reasons. They don't know what it means or what it is, or that it's a
Mm,
real thing,
mm.
as opposed to just being unfocused or
Yeah,
hyperactive
yeah,
or
yeah,
too much coffee or
yeah,
restless.
yeah. Changing, maybe a lot of salespeople change jobs quite often. Even if they're making good money, they got to bounce because if you do have that ADHD, it's your natural instinct is to move, is to go
Yeah.
something else.
I don't know if you've read Malcolm Gladwell's book, David versus Goliath.
I haven't read that one. No, I haven't.
If you're looking for a Christmas or birthday present for your brother,
Oh, okay.
he
He
does
loves a good
he
read.
does a whole chapter or a couple of chapters on the advantages of dyslexia.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. My brother was freed when we were must have been about 28, 29 when getting that assessment was a thing in the 90s. And when he got that, because he hadn't graduated from high school, and but he was incredibly talented, mechanical engineers, has his hands, and he obviously he it was like that freed him up to just he went back to school. He went got his GED. Then he went to university, and he became a composite engineer, working for some of the biggest aerospace companies. And now he's decided he's going to live on top of the mountain, which he's doing, and he's having property built. So you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I've done that. I've proved to myself that I was and am an intelligent person.
Right. Because in school, because I went through it and it was, I'm
Mhm.
old enough that there were no tests and it wasn't even a thing.
Right?
They just, you're slow.
Yeah.
But, you can tell if you're slow or not when you can
Right.
talk with other
Right.
people
Yeah.
and you're beating your father in chess at
Right.
6. You know, it's not slow. It's just
Mm-mm.
different.
There's just something different, and we didn't. You didn't. I mean, my brother, and it used to really upset me. He was in the room with very slow children, very slow, and he wound up just being the assistant to the teacher, and
Yeah.
she was in high school. It was like, okay, can you do this? Can you do? Of course he can. He's sharp.
Right.
And he went to military. So it's something I think really is definitely going to make me just continue my diversity, my inclusion work, is to really bring it out because the corporate landscape needs to continue to change. And I think we're in a great point in history where organizations are listening and having to shift their thinking.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect and get your book?
Yes, you can connect. You can connect with me on my Instagram. I'm always on LinkedIn and Instagram. My Instagram is Miss underscore KK Harris, and you click there. Link in the bio for that. And then you can also. I'd love for you to reach out to me on LinkedIn, KK Harris, career strategist.